U.S. continues to reduce border crossing numbers. The border became a key campaign issue after the country saw record high border crossings under the Biden administration. In December of 2023, arrests for illegal border crossing reached an all-time high of more than 249,000 arrests. That's just for a single month. Trump said if he won that he would close down the border, and he has done just that. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection now says that the number of apprehensions at the U.S.-Mexico border has plunged to its lowest number in decades. Last month alone, CBP says that they only saw 8,000 encounters in a month, the lowest number recorded since 2000. And today, a House Homeland Security Subcommittee held a hearing on how the border got so out of control under the previous administration. Listen.
When President Trump took office in January, he and his administration wasted no time in reversing the failed policies of the Biden-Harris administration. His administration immediately declared a national emergency at the southwest border and took aggressive action such as deploying troops to assist and support DHS to regain operational control. The bottom line is this did not have to happen, and we need to prevent it from happening again.
I now want to welcome in the chairman of that committee, the Border Security and Enforcement Subcommittee, Congressman Michael Guest. Congressman, welcome to the show. It's great to have you, sir. I want to play for something for you today that didn't actually get a lot of attention in the Global Threat Assessment Intel hearing that we heard from the Senate. DNI Tulsi Gabbard had this to say in her opening statement. Listen.
Cartels, gangs, and other transnational criminal organizations in our part of the world are engaging in a wide array of illicit activity, from narcotics trafficking to money laundering to smuggling of illegal immigrants and human trafficking, which endanger the health, welfare, and safety of everyday Americans.
Okay, Congressman, for the first time ever, the Global Threat Assessment listed cartels and traffickers as a national security threat to American citizens. How much of a shift is this from the previous administration?
I think it's night and day. You see that the president has focused his energy, he's focused his administration on securing the borders and going after the drug cartels that have fueled not only the drug crisis, but have fueled the immigration crisis that we've seen along our southern border.
You know, as you know, border crossings are down over 90% since this administration has taken over. Today, you held a hearing ultimately to say how things got so bad under the previous administration. What was the purpose of today's timing of this hearing? And is there anything that you feel like you learned that the current administration could be doing that they're not?
Well, you know, the purpose of today's hearing was not necessarily looking back just for the purpose of looking back, but for looking back to make sure that we are planning for the future. You know, there's the old saying, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. As we are looking to make the border secure and keep the border secure, it was important that we address the root causes of what caused the crisis on the border in the first place. And those were the failed policies of the Biden-Harris administration. 4 years ago, when Joe Biden was sworn into office, on day one, he implemented executive orders ending Remain in Mexico, stopping wall construction. He has used NGOs as a way to funnel immigrants from Central and South America into the United States. And he used the CBP-1 app as a catch and release program to bring 1 million immigrants. And so it was important for us as we began to look at what we can do to codify the changes made by the Trump administration to address the root causes of what caused the problem that we're dealing with today.
You know, it's fascinating because I talked about how this ultimately was a winning issue for President Trump, ushering him into a second non-consecutive term. But when you look at some recent polling, it really shows, by large, that Americans support his deportation efforts. There was an AP poll out recently that showed 82% of voters said that they supported deporting people who are here illegally and who are criminals. I mean, 82%, that's more than a majority, Congressman. Because of that, have you seen a shift in how your Democratic colleagues are approaching the immigration issue and the border issue, knowing that the vast majority of their constituents actually support these policies by the current administration?
Yeah, I think you see every day that Democrats are coming around to Republicans' way of thinking. You know, when you show statistics like you just showed, 82% of those individuals who were polled support what the president is doing. That shows that there is bipartisan support. This is no longer just a Republican issue versus a Democrat issue. This is an issue where the American public was fed up with what they've seen over the last 4 years, which is unchecked immigration. Our communities are no longer safe. We have criminal elements who are coming into our communities that are committing violent crimes such as murder, rape, robbery, and assault. And now we see that every community is, in fact, a border community. And so Democrats can no longer put their head in the sand and say that this is just an issue that affects the southwest border communities. It affects the entire country. And so we're beginning to see Democrats are no longer pushing back as forcibly as they once were against our efforts to close the border and to keep Americans safe.
So you do feel like they are trying to work in a bipartisan way now? Because before you had many Democrats who were saying that the border was closed.
That's right. They were echoing the remarks of Secretary Mayorkas. And we know that Secretary Mayorkas, during his 4 years, he would come to Congress repeatedly. He would testify time and time again that the border was secure, that they had operational control. He refused to look at statistics which showed the border was out of control. You know, an interesting point that came up today in the course of our hearing, we had a witness who represented the Border Patrol. And that witness said that in one single day, in one sector alone, in the Del Rio sector in 2021, they encountered in that sector alone in a single day 15,000 immigrants. We know that last month in February, along the entire southwest border, there were only 11,000 encounters. And so we have seen the numbers drop dramatically. We see that people are beginning to once again feel safe. We see that Immigration Custom Enforcement has increased the number of aliens that they have detained and returned to their country of origin by over 600%. And so what we see today versus what we saw 2-4 years ago under the Biden administration, as it relates to border security, they are clearly night and day.
Congressman, I do got to ask you this before you go, because you are the chairman of the Border Security and Enforcement Subcommittee. President Trump has gotten a lot of flack for enforcing this rare wartime clause from 1798 to deport Tren de Aragua gang members. But now it's coming out that some of those individuals may not have actually been TDA, and some of these members actually were trying to seek asylum. As we continue to learn more about these one-off scenarios, are you confident that all these individuals were gang members, and how should the administration be responding?
You know, I think the administration is doing the right thing. They are using every tool within their tool chest to rapidly deport aliens to their country of origin. We know that our immigration courts have a backlog of over 3.5 million cases. We know that there are 1.5 million orders of final removal of individuals who have been ordered to be removed by the immigration court. We have seen the increase in criminal activity by illegal aliens in the country. And so I will tell you that I have complete faith in the administration. I have complete faith in what the president is doing, what the secretary is doing, what Tom Homan is doing. I think that, again, they are using every tool at their disposal to keep Americans safe, and that is our primary goal.
All right, Congressman Michael Guest, really appreciate your time this evening. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.